What does it really mean to be safe anyway? Are we asking this question yet? I just want to know because I feel like I'm the only one that has. And I literally am talking about the definition of safe and the way that we're using this piece of language today. We're definitely using it differently. And this episode is going to make me sound like more of the boomer that I am, which I am not. But it's just something that I've noticed. We're using the word safe in new and different ways. It's the truth. I've been asking myself this question since I felt the word safe become a buzzword. We're all using it, and we're using it in a literal and figurative way. I just want someone to feel safe with. How many times have we heard that, right? Or this is not a safe environment. Those moments. We're talking about those moments. And what is crazy is I found myself having a reaction to the use of this word. So I want to explore that with you today in another Work on You Wednesday and get to the bottom of what does it really mean to be safe anyway.
We're kind of going against this idea that we shouldn't be living life. Like, we should be living life vigorously.
Welcome, Vigorous Ones, to another week. I'm Val Kleinhands, a little bit sleepy. We're still somewhat recovering from a very fun weekend, but a busy one. We saw Blood Incantation and Emperor over the weekend in Minneapolis. Fantastic show. 10 out of 10 would recommend catching this tour before it ends. I believe it goes on for at least another couple weeks. Another 2 weeks, I think, or 3. Anyway, if you can see this tour, go do it, especially if you're a prog fan. It was cool to see Isan pay respect to Blood Incantation in the prog world and like by that definition. So we're still recovering from that a little bit, but we're going to get through this today. We're going to start with just the basic definition of safe to answer the original question with a little bit of introspection. I realized that my reaction to the way that we're using the word safe was rooted in a little bit of resentment. And let me explain. While I'm glad that we're putting our personal, emotional, and physical safety first with this line of thinking and in the way that we're using this language, I got kind of salty because I realized that it wasn't always this way. I didn't get the chance to tell people to their face when I didn't feel safe with them or in those words and make it so clear. And if you're a millennial, you will understand what I mean, especially with our people-pleasing tendencies. You will understand what I mean. It's a challenge to speak up. We were told not to speak up. And when we tried, a lot of the time we got a slap on the hand or worse. So you can feel defeated really quickly after a couple of slaps on the wrist there. So we're not used to it. And what I like about the instances that we're using the word safe now is that what I mean is it's spotlighting behavior. I'm talking about the fact that it spotlights behavior. In a perfect world, it would get somebody to reflect, right? Think about this. You go to somebody and you say, ooh, this is not a safe environment. Well, if they're any kind of a decent human, they should step back and say, oh, that makes me feel a type of way because I don't want you to feel like you aren't safe. A reasonable person would reach that conclusion or reflect in that manner. And yet, again, I found myself resenting not taking the opportunity to communicate with someone as clearly or even knowing how to do so. We definitely weren't taught how to do so. It takes practice. It's like anything in life. It's a muscle you have to flex and practice. So keeping my thoughts in mind, I think a lot of us are asking, is safety a feeling or is it fact? A lot of us use the word literally and in reference to physical safety, Are we about to do something dangerous that's going to harm our physical being, right? Our changing of the way that we're using this language is forcing us to answer this now. That's the traditional definition. Safety is the absence of danger, strictly physical safety, right? Are we physically safe? Are we putting our body in harm's way? And now we're including emotional safety in the definition. We're talking about feeling heard. We're talking about not being judged. We're talking about predictability in relationships. We're talking about stand against abuse. But here's where it gets weird. This is where it gets interesting. Emotional safety isn't always feeling comfortable. And sometimes I see people using that as though it's equivalent. Growth often feels unsafe. Growth often includes confrontation, honesty, vulnerability. And because of that, sometimes I think safe can become code for avoiding conflict and avoiding accountability. But think about the loved one or coworker that never challenges you versus the one who does tell you hard truths. And I do think that there's a right and wrong way to deliver hard truths. Let's come correct on that. But speaking generally, this is the realm I want to work within. I think I was getting a lot of criticism with very little validation, and I did resent that, kind of like what I alluded to earlier, and that's why it caused me to feel like, how dare you get to bring up safety when no one gets to choose their safe? I didn't get to, and sure as, it didn't feel like really anybody did. Especially the younger you are, you're at the mercy of other adults. External things just happened to me without consent, and I was left with the cleanup after. A lot of us who are, older, same thing. A lot of us know what that feels like in general terms. So now we do. Now we get to speak up. Now we do get to choose differently, and we do get to choose to redefine safety and what is included in the definition of being safe. But I caution that this comes with responsibility. We cannot reject every single thing that doesn't feel safe. We're going to encounter those things. It's inevitable. If you're never uncomfortable, you're probably not growing. You've heard that before. Kind of on those same lines. What I think is more important, we can continue to be fluid and flexible in reframing what safe looks like. Let's get to the realization that, hey, I'm terrified now, but ultimately, what I'm choosing to put time and effort into is ultimately going to be a good choice. This is going to be something that betters me mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever, like a job interview. Take the interview. Take the damn interview. Really, always take the meeting. That is something that my dad taught me, and he wasn't wrong. As nervous as you might be during them, and we all are. I'm not invalidating that. We all are. It is an uncomfortable situation to be in, but take the interview. Even if you're afraid, nervous, it's a good decision to at least, think about it this way, get the information about the job you need by taking the interview so that you can decide whether or not you even want to be in this room. So let's push past, this is uncomfortable, this is unsafe. Let's push past that notion in those instances. It is about nuance. There's a difference between protecting your mental health and isolating yourself from anything challenging. Allow room for nuance. I am not saying tolerate actual abuse. No, that's different. I am saying sometimes it's worth doing the things that make you uncomfortable. One thing that I also realized is that Control is sometimes equated with safety. I've done that. I've got generalized anxiety disorder. Like, that's the essence of it. Control is sometimes equated with safety. So when you don't have it, it looks chaotic. I thought I had to stay in a truly unsafe environment for financial and emotionally financial and emotional stability, but I didn't. And you don't either. There's other ways to make money if it really is that bad. If they are really playing with your emotions in your mind, or God forbid, your physical well-being. You don't have to tolerate it either. Humans crave predictability because it feels like safety. Control can mimic safety because it's familiar. You know what you're dealing with, and it's the devil you know kind of thing. Let me stay in this hellhole because at least it's one that I know and I have complete and total control over because I'm familiar with it. But ask this, do I feel safe or do I just feel in control? Is anybody involved? Let's ask this to help separate the two. Is anybody involved in what I'm dealing with right now intentionally using power, behavior, or influence to cause chaos, physical, emotional, sexual, or financial harm to another person? If the answer to that is yes, then it's a bye-bye. That's not a question. But is the answer to this, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but ultimately it will help me grow later. Ultimately, there is a benefit to doing what I'm doing later. A proven benefit, not dangling a carrot. Believe me, we've all been in jobs that do that. I'm talking about, no, there's a proven track record of consistency here that you can lean on to help you feel safe, even when you're nervous about doing whatever it is that you got to do. There's a separation there. Control versus actual safety. Is anyone involved in what I'm going through now? Or is the reason that I'm upset right now and anxious and nervous, and is it because somebody is using power, behavior, or any type of influence to cause that physical, emotional, sexual, or financial chaos or harm to me or another person? Think about that. Think about it in those terms. What actually makes someone safe anyway? This is a question that I pondered. I think there's signs you're never really going to know. Let's not be that naive. I'm a Capricorn. Come on. We got to say it that way. But you never really truly know, but there are signs, there are clues. Signs of real safety in people, to me, I think look like consistency. I think it looks like honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. And I also think it looks like accountability on their end too, right? Recognizing how their behavior has impacted the situation or their relationship with you or somebody around them. That's important. I think emotional safety looks like being able to express yourself without fear of punishment. Hard to do in most job environments. I understand that. But again, if it's so bad that you're crying when you're putting your shoes on to go to work because you know you're about to go to work, that's your sign to leave that environment. That's when it is that toxic. Emotional safety is not, I never feel challenged. But it is, this has me upset truly on a weekly, daily basis. Nobody needs to sit in that. Your nervous system doesn't need that. I'm still working on the I never feel challenged part because feedback does hurt sometimes still for me. I think, it's normal for it too, for all of us. But I'm trying to view feedback in the most objective way and take the personal elements out of it. Hard as a neurodivergent person, because nonverbal learning disability, which is what I have, means you interpret things extremely literally. So if somebody is using personal language and you're taking that in and you're simmering on it and you're processing it, well, that's how it's going to come to you if you're already somebody that takes it literally. Even if that's not their intention, intention doesn't mean anything. You just have to see what the actions say. So I'm working on understanding that sometimes in other people, it is a language difference. They might be using personal language, even if it's not necessarily what they mean. And I have to take that part of it out and get the objective, constructive parts out of what I've been given. And that takes some work. And it sounds like a lot of effort on our end. And it is. But you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it so that you're not the one upset at 2 a.m. simmering and ruminating on something somebody said to you 12 hours earlier that day. Because more than likely, it wasn't intended to be as personal as it came out. I'm starting to understand that too. Not easy when you're neurodivergent and take everything literally. Trust is trust. It's as simple as that. Trust is trust. You're never going to feel safe around somebody that you don't trust. So maybe the first part in this equation really is the relationship building part. And then you study what that person's motives really are. Baby, they will show you. I love the quote that says, when somebody tells you who they are or shows you who they are, believe it. It is that simple. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. They will show you. And then that can direct you. And that's a cue you can take as far as what to do with their feedback. Is it worth anything? Maybe it's not. Maybe you don't want to follow their advice because you're not trying to do what they do. That's okay too. A strong sense of self helps with this too. Again, a muscle you have to flex, a muscle you have to practice forever. I will probably forever be working on that part. But it's worth it. You can say, hey, I'm open to hearing what you have to say, but this doesn't mean I actually have to do anything with it. You can tell yourself that. You can tell yourself you don't need to connect to it, to connect with it, to make it part of you. You don't need to put that much of yourself into it. So how do we build our own sense of safety after that trust has been broken? And after it's a challenge and you're walking around like a wounded animal because, and believe me, I'm calling myself out here too, because I've had those moments where I've been irrationally reactive to particular people in particular instances and environments, just because I knew I didn't trust them. I made assumptions about their motives, and it took talking it through to get through that. You have to build your own sense of safety. There's internal safety and external safety. And I think ways to build it internally look like emotional regulation, look like self-trust, and look like knowing you can handle discomfort. No one is unfamiliar with discomfort. We've all felt it. It's very normal. It might require a reframe. Safety isn't saying nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad's going to happen here. I'm okay here. It's I can handle what happens when it does. You're equipped, so to speak, with whatever comes your way. Try an affirmation that reminds you of your ability to take on anything, regardless of what comes your way. For me, it's Megan Thee Stallion in the gym. Okay, it is, I am a bad bitch. And I will add that 5 pounds to my weights and add to my reps. Like, I know where I'm going, and you're either on that ride or you're not. You're riding with me, you're riding for me, or you're not. It is that simple. That is how to build a sense of safety. And yeah, ironically, it does start with you. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else or any external force, although it can feel that way. You can feel helpless because you might continually hit that wall, so to speak, with something external, with someone external. But it starts with you. I'm going to keep it simple this week and offer this as a closing thought. Maybe being safe isn't about avoiding every single thing that can hurt you, which I know we do sometimes. Maybe it's about becoming someone who can move through the world without needing to shrink or even react to survive it. React in an inappropriate way. Let's be clear. What is it that makes you feel the most safe? I think that is why I cling to music so much. I need it. It's my comfort. It's everything. And yes, I have confused comfort with safety sometimes. I definitely do when I'm depressed and I'm already in that space. And that, again, that's okay for a little bit, but you can't stay there. You can't avoid it forever. So think about what it is going to take to make you feel the most safe this week. What is it? Is it a couple of affirmations in the morning? Is it music that makes you feel like a bad bitch? Is it being around a community that you have no question supports you and you have their utmost loyalty? That's big for me. It's huge for all of us. You can build that though. You're at the center of all of this, and I hope that you take that ball and run with it this week. And I'm going to do the same. That has been another Work on You Wednesday in this building. Welcome. Because I think we're going to keep doing these. We seem to enjoy doing these in the Vigorously world. So tune in for more next week. Thanks for joining me this time. Bye.